Hey, 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 happy Sunday. Happy middle of March, about to be Aries season. Hi, one, hi, all. Whether you are watching live or you are watching a replay, I am Coach Yolanda, owner of Evolving Spirit Wellness. I am a certified spiritual life coach, certified perinatal educator or birth doula, lactation consultant, yada, 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 all of the things. And I am so happy to be back with you on Sunday. We meet Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to do our version of meditation. It is not like a traditional meditation. Right now, we are focused on the inner child healing. Evolving Spirit Wellness has decided that this is the year of inner child wellness, inner child healing. We are not focusing on the wounds, we are taking a look at them to see how the things that happened when we were developing as children are impacting us now and how it is showing up in our lives and could potentially, not all things from our childhood that we learned were to our detriment. Most of the things that we learned in childhood are actually serving us well. And there may be a couple of things that we learned that we want to unlearn. And so that's why we are focusing on the inner child. So much of what we are going through as adults can be sourced back to the developmental stages. For the month of March, we are looking at the 18-month to 3-year stage. A lot goes on during that stage, a lot of developing, a lot of independence, a lot of developing new skills, and coming into your own, coming into your full autonomy. And for some of us as adults, that's where we're at in our life. I know I am. My birthday is coming up, and I don't care how old I get, there are still things for me to learn, and I'm still learning how to come into the fullness of who I am as a temporary human. I know I am a spiritual being, but I'm having this temporary human experience, and there's so much to learn, so much to uncover. And so let's take a look back at what went on then so we can see what might be showing up now. So today, we are going to be talking about a toddler's favorite word. No, 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 no. If you have spent any time around 18-month-old to 3-year-old, when they hear and learn the word no and the power that it has, baby, that is a little person, a little tiny human declaring their independence. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. As you are coming in, if you're watching live, you can go into the comment section, say hi, say hey, let me know who you are and where you are watching. I'd love to know where everybody is. I am in the little tiny state of Delaware, first state, woo woo. And I would love to know how far we are reaching. Sometimes I'll go back and look at the numbers, sometimes I don't. And I know that there are those of you who do your best to show up every Sunday. I appreciate that. And it also makes for great energy in the space. So please leave a comment. If there's anything in particular that you have a question about, please feel free. You never know if your question resonates with someone else. And so you're not just helping yourself, you're helping all of us. You're probably even helping me. I mean, I take notes and I go over particular things that I would like for us to discuss, but I am always open to further the discussion by what's going on in the comments. Just make sure you understand that whatever you post in the comment is going to be seen by everyone and also recorded. And so, again, I thank you for being here. And so let's take some deep breaths as we come into this particular moment where we are going to give our little people, our inner people, our once upon a time people, something that they need. We can always ask our inner children, what do you need from me today? Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's assurance. Maybe it's courage. Maybe it's a voice. Maybe it's you saying, I see you, I hear you, in those moments when you are stirring in my spirit, when I am reacting to things in a particular way. I know that that's a different version of me that is asking for something. When we are upset, when we are confused, when we are disappointed, when all of these emotions that come over us and we may not understand where they are coming from, it may be. The previous versions of yourself who are saying, I need assistance in this area. I need to feel calm. I need to feel assured. I need to feel assertive. I need to feel good about myself. And I need you, the adult version of you, the right now moment you, to do that for me. And so, as we continue to learn and unlearn some things, we can see that this is not about bashing our caregivers. This is not about pointing the finger at who didn't do what, because I can tell you, as humans, we all fall short in some areas if we are interacting with other humans. There are things that I know that I could never give my children that I know that they needed. And there are things that I know my parents could not give me that I know that I needed. It is part of the human experience for us to try to figure out. And no one human can provide all things to another human being, which is why we have to ensure that we stay connected to one another, that we recognize that we are not going to make it through this life in isolation and by ourselves. And so, anywhere you are in relationship with someone, whether it's your coworker, your family, your friends, strangers on the street, we are responsible for one another. And so the personal development work that you do is not just for you, it's for all of us. So I thank you. On behalf of all of the work that you are doing on you, I say thank you because I know that you are doing it for me. And all of the work that I am doing on myself, I do it for you. I do it for the collective consciousness. So as we come into this moment, let's make sure that we are comfortable. If you are watching on the replay, make sure that you are in an environment where you are not disturbing anyone else. Maybe you have your earbuds in, maybe the volume is low, maybe you scurry off to another area, or maybe you watch with someone. How about you call somebody else into the room and say, hey, we're about to talk about some inner child healing. And we are going to focus on the power of the word no and what no means, because we are seeing evidence of individuals. It might be you, it might be me, it might be people that we are observing. We are seeing evidence of individuals who have a hard time hearing the word no or saying the word no. So you have the people pleasers who never want to be on anybody's bad side, so they say yes to everything. And then you have those individuals who feel like they've never been denied anything in their life, never heard the word no. And so when they hear it, they have a whole adult tantrum. So we need to talk about what is going on when we hear the word no, because the word no is simply a decline. That's all it is. It's a decline of an offer. But we internalize it as rejection, as disappointment, as somehow I am being denied something or I am denying someone something. When no is just as simple as a decline of an offer. It's really that simple, but we internalize it. Why? Because that's what children do. You know, kids are like sponges, they absorb and internalize everything. My grandbaby girl just left. And as I'm watching her and she's watching me, I'm recognizing that she's watching me to take the cues about whether or not she's doing the right or the wrong thing. And this is at the age, she's almost 3. This is at the age where little people start to discover that the caregivers, that the adults don't know everything, and that I have my own autonomy. I have my own thoughts, my own feelings, and therefore I am in control of my behavior. And so, a lot of what goes on in this developmental stage is the child's desire versus the adult need. We need kids to be safe. We need kids to listen. We need them to pay attention. And kids don't always want to do that. They are starting to figure out I am separate from this caregiver, from this adult. I have my own mind, and there are things that I want to do. I want to discover things. I want to be over here, and then I want to touch that, and then I want to do this, and I want to put my finger up my nose. And the adults are like, no, 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 no. And so then kids hear that and think, oh, that's a powerful word. I think I'll start to use it. And so we start to hear at this age and stage no to every request and offer. Are you ready to eat? No. Do you want to go to bed? No. Can you put your shoes on? No. Can you please put that down? No. they start to learn and they have absorbed that there is power in the word no. So sometimes, through no fault of their own, adults, caregivers, those of us responsible for the little people, your parents, your caregivers, the adults who were in charge of you when you were at this developmental stage, sometimes there is an unconscious behavior to deny the request of little people. You know, they want to eat stuff and put things in their mouth they're not supposed to. We have to say no. We have to deny them the thing that they desire. Sometimes there is an unconscious behavior to control. You know, kids want to run out on the street. We've got to control them. We got to hold them their hands, or we have to put them in a stroller. We have to control them. And sometimes, at its most extremes, there is a conscious behavior by caregivers and by adults to abuse. That is at the most extreme. No matter what is going on with those three different scenarios, a child will internalize that as I must be doing something wrong, or I must be misguided, or my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors must not be right because I wouldn't be hearing the word no. Even when I'm saying no as the child, it's being dismissed, it's being overlooked, it's being, don't even listen to it. And so, what can happen to young children, and this continues as they grow and develop? What can happen is that as children look up to adults to tell them, am I right? Am I wrong? They may internalize the no's that they hear as a denial of their self. And so we start to create this false self. I want to be a good girl. I want to be a good boy. I want to listen. I want to please the adults. I want to do what they want me to do, which is even denying the thing that I want to do. We start that so young, and it carries on until we get to be adults, where we still are denying and creating a false self. That's part of surviving. Children learn very early how to survive. And all of those unconscious behaviors that I talked about, the denials, the control, and sometimes at its extreme, the abuse, children learn in order to survive that, I've got to be good. And that may mean that my feelings are not valid. Hmm. Hey, Miss Erica, how are you? Let's see. Erica's saying you're in the process of learning to tell your aunt no. Hmm. It's hard, particularly when it's individuals that we have looked up to. And probably, I don't know, but this person in your life, this aunt may have done some things for you in the past. That's a big one. Guilt comes into it. Guilt absolutely comes into it, particularly when the child views the caregiver as someone that does so much for you. You feel like I don't want to deny them. But if you are denying your feelings are valid. And if you are denying your own feelings for someone else's gratification and benefit, then that's an imbalance. And somewhere that imbalance has to be made whole, has to be made right, because you will start to tell yourself that your feelings are not valid. It's something that we learn very, very young. When we hear the word no, maybe it's, last night it was time for grandbaby girl to go to bed. I said, you ready to go night night? She said, no. And I'm like, girl, we got to go to bed. I know as her caregiver what is best for her to get her rest. And so I didn't immediately turn out the lights and say, I don't care what you say. I want her to understand that if I'm asking her a question, her response is valid. Why would I ask her a question if I'm not going to listen to her answer? I don't want to set up this relationship with her that if I ask her a question, I'm just going to disregard what her answer is and how she feels. So, some negotiation had to go on last night. Are you ready to go night night? No. And I said, okay, well, let's read some more books. We're going to read 3 more books. And then after we read the 3 books, we're going to start to get ready to go to bed. Now, does she understand that? No. But I'm starting a pattern of I hear you. I see you. You're not ready to go to bed. I understand that. And that's valid. I have to support how she thinks and how she feels. But if I continuously deny her thoughts, her feelings, then she is going to learn that her feelings are not valid. And she, in turn, may become an adult who feels like she's always got to say yes because what she has learned that my feelings don't matter. So it takes a lot of time. Again, for anyone who has little kids, works with the little kids, or around little kids, it takes a lot of patience when we are dealing with the word no, particularly because they love it. Oh, they love that word. No, 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 no. And guess what? They should love it because it's powerful. I have learned in my adulthood that my feelings are valid. And if I feel like a no, then it's got to be a no. And no is a complete sentence. How many of us are finding in our adulthood, we know we want to say no, but then we feel like we got to negotiate and come up with all of these different reasons why no is the answer. You can always tell when someone is not comfortable saying no because it comes with a whole soliloquy about why you had to say no. When no is enough, if someone asks you to do something and you don't want to do it and you say no, that should be enough. Anytime there's follow up questions, no is simple. No, no. But if I feel like I got to make excuses for why I'm saying no, somewhere in my head, I have learned that my feelings aren't valid. So therefore, I have to justify. And I'm like a lawyer in a courtroom. I got to give you all of these reasons why you should not convict me for saying no. We've got to do better by ourselves, and we have to do better with others because we have to show others this is how I deserve to be treated. My feelings are valid. They're not misguided. I'm not uncertain or unclear. And it sounds like for you, Erica, you are very clear that your no is a no. Now, how that plays out between you and your aunt, probably because there's a whole lot of energy between the two of you, where there may have been some second guessing. Listen, I was raised in that generation that adults were to be respected no matter what. You have to respect your elders no matter what, even if you knew they were wrong, even if you knew that what they were saying and doing was hurting or harming you. Children were supposed to be seen and not heard. So I come from that generation. I know how you feel. I come from that generation that adults and your elders are to be held in high regard no matter what. We've got to do better by ourselves so that we are not training those who come behind us to feel the same way. I want my granddaughter, I want my children, I want everyone to know and understand that your feelings are valid. And if you feel a no in your spirit, you have to be certain that that is the answer and there is no need to justify it. There is no need to validate how you feel because how you feel is already valid. So, for those of you who know who Shonda Rhimes is, she did Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, Bridgerton, all of those shows. She has a book called The Year of Yes because her sister made a comment to her one day that you always say no for everything. So there are times in our lives when we are using no to avoid because we've learned that no is powerful. But sometimes we could be using it to isolate ourselves. And so when Shonda Rhimes heard that from her sister, she had to take a good look at herself and said, you know what? Anytime anybody asks me to do anything, the answer typically is no first. And then I may have to be convinced because she had gotten so used to denying herself, denying her feelings, denying her thoughts, and denying her desires. She got into that pattern. And then she said for a whole year, she was going to say yes to everything. So this is what I want to say to all of us. If all you have is a bunch of no's or all you have is a bunch of yeses, you are out of balance. You have to be very clear about how you feel about the interactions that you are having in your life. We cannot afford to second guess ourselves. We cannot afford to be uncertain, and we cannot afford to feel as though we are misguided because of other people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. You have to be clear about who you are and what you desire. And anywhere you are not clear, there is an imbalance. Anywhere there is an imbalance, you are spiritually disconnected. And so I would ask, where is the faith that you have in you, that you are clear about what you want to occur in your life? So you may have to go back to your relationship with no when you were 18 months, 3 years of age. You may not remember, but if you see where in your life there are experiences where, as Erica has said, you are saying yes when you know it means a no, then you have an imbalance in your spirit. You are not presenting your true self, you are presenting a false self. And anywhere we are presenting a false self, we are telling ourselves we're in survival mode. This person has to like me. I have to honor this person. I don't want anyone to think ill of me if I say no. That's an imbalance. That's you fighting with you. And that is your little people saying, I need you to assert yourself. I need you to stand up for me. Because I wasn't able to do it when I was younger, I need you to do it now as an adult. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Are you clear about your no's just as clear as you are about your yeses? If I say yes to something, I want to feel good about it. If I say no to something, I want to feel good about it. I have gotten to a place where I don't feel bad where I have to offer a decline to an off to something because I am in connection with who I am. And it gives me a great feeling sometimes to say no because I know I'm not betraying myself. If someone says, hey, you want to do this thing? And I say no, my little people are clapping like, oh, we stood up for ourselves. I'm so happy and I'm so proud of ourselves that we don't have to put ourselves in a position where we feel obligated to do things just because we want people to like us or we don't want people to be mad at us or we have a history with someone. Well, they did something for me, so I have to do something for them. Somewhere I read, probably the Bible, that love doesn't keep a record of rights and wrongs. So for those of us who love to keep score, who's doing what for me, so that I have to pay them back and do for them, that's not love. That's you keeping score. Again, that comes from lessons we learn in childhood. How do I make sure that I am pleasurable to other people? I say yes when they want me to say yes. I do what they want me to do, even if it's not in alignment with what I feel, with what I'm thinking. That's a false self. That's survival. We don't have time for surviving. We've made it this far. Now we can give ourselves the gift of thriving by saying, I'm going to be true to me. And if I got a no in my spirit, it's going to be a no all day long. And I don't need to explain it. I don't need to write a paper about why I had to say no. No is a complete sentence. If you want to be nice, you can say no, thank you. Or no, that's not what I'm doing right now. Thank you so much for the offer, but I'm going to have to say no. Period. As the kids like to say, period. We don't have to continuously justify our feelings. They are already valid. But that's something that we have to learn how to do. And so, some of the ways that we can learn how to do that is to reconnect to what you feel in your body. So, no is something that we've heard from the beginning of our existence here. What's your relationship with it? When someone tells you no, do you take it personal? Do you believe that someone saying no to you has something to do with you personally? It might for the other person, but it doesn't equate to who you are. But if you have that belief system that if someone says no, then somehow that means you're wrong or there's something not right with you or people don't love you. I know that was a big one for me. You know, if I would ask somebody for something and they said no, I would immediately go into, well, what did I do to them? How come they don't like me? What did And it's not about that. I don't know what their reasons are for saying no. But if I behave like a child and absorb and internalize that no and take it personal, then my brain starts to work at, well, what did I do wrong? Where am I? Why am I being denied? And I might turn that into a tantrum. And we have full evidence of adults having tantrums. Y'all know what happened on January 6th. It was a whole big tantrum. People who heard no thought it was a personal rejection of their beliefs. And so they had a whole tantrum and wanted to dismantle and rip the whole damn country apart because somewhere someone didn't show them what no, that no is a complete sentence. You didn't get what you wanted. So you felt that it was up to you to have a whole tantrum, hurt people, harm people. That's you internalizing the no as a personal reflection of you being wrong. And it's not. It's a word, it's an energy. But we have to be very clear about what is my personal relationship with the word no? How do I take that on when I am denied something? Do I take it as a personal rejection? You have to be honest. If someone tells you no, then you might be having a tantrum like a 3-year-old. It may not come out like kicking and screaming and throwing yourself on the floor, but you might internally be having your own tantrum by going into negative self talk, trying to figure out what you did wrong, trying to figure out why you were denied, instead of that person said no. They may have their reasons. And maybe that doesn't stop you from asking for support, asking for help in other places. It just means in this particular interaction, it's not going to happen. And I don't have to take it personal. You also have to be clear about what was your intention to begin with. So if you're asking for something, you hear no, were your intentions clear? Did you really, really want what you think that you wanted from that particular person? Or was there something else behind it? I think a couple of weeks we talked about that nobody teaches us how to ask for love. No one teaches us how to ask for attention or recognition. And so we might be prone to doing things under the guise of, I really just need some attention, but we don't always know how to ask for that. And so when we feel that we are being rejected, we take that personally because our intentions were personal. So be very, very clear about your relationship with hearing no. You'll also have to be clear about your relationship with saying no. If you use no as a way to keep people out, as a way to stay isolated, as a way to protect yourself, then you need to find out why that is. You may have had an experience in your past where you were saying no and no one listened to you, and then you were hurt or harmed. That could absolutely make every single one of us be attracted to the word no. If your no was not validated when you were younger, you might be no, no, no all day long because you feel like you have to reclaim what was taken from you. So, for those of us who feel or have had in our experience feeling like we had been taken advantage of when we did say no, that people did not see us, people did not hear us, may be more prone to going right to no from the jump. You have to be clear. So, one of the questions you might ask yourself is, what is my relationship with hearing no? What is my relationship with saying no? If you are one of those people who, Erica talked about this dynamic with her aunt, where it's hard for you to say no. You may have had an experience in your past where it hurt you so much. It could be an abandonment issue. It could be a neglect issue. It could be so strong in your memory of rejection that you don't want anybody else to feel that way because you know what it feels like. And that is strong in those of us who have identified that we are a people pleaser, that we say yes, even when our spirit is like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It may have been your experience that you were denied something that you needed. It might have been love, it might have been care, it might have been affection. You may have had abandonment issues, neglect issues in your past. And so, no is not something that you ever want to hear or ever want to say to anyone. You got to get real with that. That's an imbalance. That's a spiritual imbalance because it's not your true self. It is the wounded part of you that is responding. Responding from a place of harm and hurt will more than likely continue to get you harmed and hurt. Responding from a place of clarity and certainty is more aligned with who you truly desire to be. You have to pay attention to where you are responding from places of pain instead of places of power. Okay. Hey, my Giselle, how are you? I'm so happy you're here too. And so, for many of us, the word no might trigger us in one way or another. Again, it could be at the extremes of I'm ready to have a fight, I'm ready to tantrum because I feel like I've been rejected, or it may have you retreat into, well, I'm ready to just say yes to everything because obviously there's something wrong with me. Or I'm not going to ask anybody for nothing ever again because I heard no one time. I always love to say, don't take no from anyone who doesn't have the authority to say yes to you. Some of us are asking the wrong people for support. And then when we don't get it, we're like, well, I guess there's no one to help me. You asking the wrong people. Or you might be aligning with individuals who also have a problem with saying no. That happens a lot. And so that's why I wanted us to talk about this because toddlers love the word no, and they should. I am relearning, because I have a granddaughter, I am relearning that when my granddaughter says no, I have to validate that. I have to honor that. I do not want her to be the type of woman who feels like she doesn't have the authority to say no. I want her to know that her no means something and that I respect it and that I honor it. Now, if it means it's going to jeopardize her safety, my sanity, and her developing, then we got to have a conversation. But I don't want her to ever believe that her feelings are not valid. We know what that feels like. So many of us know what that feels like. And again, those temper tantrums that we're seeing people have, adults acting up on airplanes, out in the street, everybody just acting, just having tantrums, adult tantrums, because they feel rejected. And for those of us, listen, we just went through 3 years of a pandemic. This week marked the time when we all got told no. We all got denied. We all got rejected. Go home, stay home, don't talk to nobody, don't come out without your mask. We all heard a resounding no. You see how not all of us responded to it well. Some of us responded better than others. Some of us had a tantrum, and some of us really felt personally attacked. How dare you tell me no, I can't go outside? It's for your own health. It was for our own health, safety, and sanity. And some of us wanted to rebel against that. So we have had 3 years of rejection, things that we wanted to do, and we were told, nope, can't do that. It's not safe to do that just yet. How did you respond? What did you learn about your relationship with no? When you had to tell people who wanted to come over your house and cough in your face, no, you can't come over here. How did it feel for you to tell your family members, no, we can't get together for this holiday, or no, I'm not coming? How did they respond to you? Did they keep asking over and over and over? Take a look at what these past 3 years have done to you in your relationship with no. Do you feel more assertive now than you did before the pandemic started? I know now that I have to take a more active role in my health and wealth and safety, mentally, emotionally, because of what we went through in the pandemic. Because when I saw people who didn't know, didn't respond well to no, I was like, these jokers don't listen. So I have to protect myself. Like I said earlier, we are all part of this collective consciousness. I am responsible for you. You are responsible for me. But if I am dropping the ball, if I am not doing well with responding to no, it impacts you. If I'm out here having a tantrum, it impacts other people. So I have to be clear about my relationship with no. And one of the things that I have had to do, and that is what we're going to meditate on, is tell myself that no is a healthy word. Sometimes in my youth, when my caregivers would say no, it would come with some harsh punishment. And so I didn't always get the message that no was healthy. No one ever sat down and talked with me to tell me, I'm telling you no for your own good. Sometimes it was just a no with no explanation. So I have had to relearn that no can be very healthy for me. So if there's something that I want to do and things don't work out the way that I want them to, I have to understand that sometimes that's for my good. Sometimes it's for my highest good. All of those things that we think are minor inconveniences and distractions that get in our way. We don't make the light, traffic is moving slow, the line is too long. We have no idea if that is for our highest good, keeping us from something. We internalize it as rejection or somebody has it out for me. I had to unlearn that not every time that I'm rejected or denied for something does that mean I have to internalize it as something is wrong with me. Sometimes it is the healthiest thing for me, and I have to accept that. And that comes through my faith that I am never denied anything that's for my good, that if something out there is good for me, that I will see it, I will be able to identify it, I will be able to enjoy it. But I have to understand that everything has a process. And so I had to learn that sometimes no is the healthiest thing that you can hear and the healthiest thing that you can say. I just had a conversation yesterday with one of my lovelies, and we talked about how it's so easy sometimes to get things done, right? There are people that we know that we can call on, and they're going to come through in a clutch. And as we are in relationship with other people, we have to ask ourselves, am I denying other people the opportunity to love me by only going to this one source? Sometimes we are saying no through our behavior and we don't realize it. That's another thing I had to learn, that I was telling people no with my behavior. I may not have, audibly said, no, I don't want you to help me, but I never considered them as being part of my support system, part of my loving relationship. And here they were like, I can help you. And I'm like, no, that's all right. I'm going to get so and so to do it. Denying them the ability to interact with me because I'm so focused on getting things done. So we have to, again, think about our relationship with no and how our behavior might be one big no, where we are shutting people out because we're so used to doing everything one way, doing it our way, doing it by ourselves, being so fiercely independent. I don't need nobody to help me, when there are people who are like, I would love to help you. How can I help you? No, that's all right. I got it. We got to learn how to be in relationship with people, and that everything has to be a no. No can be healthy, but it can also be unhealthy if you're using it in ways to isolate and shut people out. And I know that sometimes we feel like we have to do that to keep ourselves safe. But then you can't be walking around talking about you feel unappreciated, unloved, and don't nobody care about you. Are you even creating opportunities for that to be so? And trusting yourself as you're doing that. So don't take the no personally, as you did when you were a child and you internalize that as being something wrong with you. It's energy. It's a decline of an offer. It's not a rejection of who you are as a person. When you are sure about who you are and you recognize that you are valid on day one, that you don't need anyone else's validation, when you hear no, when you say no, you can detach from it. where you don't feel like it's a personal attack on someone. So I say to you, Erica, if you told your aunt no, it doesn't mean you don't love her. It doesn't mean that y'all can't have a relationship. She may take it that way. That's for her to figure out and to work through. We can't always save everybody else, particularly when we're trying to save ourselves. And that doesn't mean just leave people out there. It means self preservation, because you never know where you may need to be teaching her a lesson on self sufficiency. No matter how old she is, no matter if she is your elder, I know that you love her. I know we love our people. But if we know we are saying yes to things and it is hurting and harming us, you got to preserve yourself, because what they going to do if something happened to you? They still going to get their needs met. Trust me. I say that about the job that you are working on. You could drop down on your job today. They will step over you and find somebody else to do it. We cannot always feel like we have to say yes to everything, every request. It's nothing personal unless it is personally hurting you. Then it becomes personal. So check your relationship with no. Make sure that you are telling yourself that no can be the healthiest thing that I hear, and no can be the healthiest thing that I say. No is also a stabilizer. Sometimes we got to stabilize the energy. You know, when I talked about the imbalance, for those people who have never heard no in their life, sometimes they need to be stabilized. Sometimes they need to be neutralized with a little bit of no. No can be a stabilizer. It can stabilize the energy and bring it back into balance. Because if everything is always yes, 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 how do people learn how to do particular things? I'm also seeing that, with my granddaughter. And so if you had the experience where your caregivers did everything for you and you never learned how to do things for yourself, let me tell y'all, they walk among us. We know a lot of adults who have never had to do things for themselves. That's an imbalance for all of us. Why am I, a full adult, showing another full adult how to be an adult? Why is it that you never learned how to do these things for yourself? Because you may have had an experience where everything was done for you. And so you never learned how to take responsibility. You never learned how to assert yourself. You never learned how to do things in a way that didn't mean everybody had to move heaven and earth just for you. I know y'all know some family members like that. They open their mouths and everybody moves and shifts to make sure they are all right. And we are sitting in the corner like, but what about me? Like, I'm telling you, I know some family members who, as adults, they still behave like toddlers where everyone is scrambling to do everything for them. We cannot afford to do that to ourselves, where we become so hopeless and helpless, where we're so used to hearing yes, 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 yes. The minute somebody says no, we take it personally. We want to fall down. We're like, oh my God, nobody loves me. Y'all just, all of the theatrics come out to play, just like a child. I just watched my granddaughter pretend cry last night. I was like, what is that? We are not entertaining that behavior. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're not doing that. We're not raising that. And so no can be stabilizing if you are using it with individuals who may not have heard it before. It may shock them. It may shock them into them becoming the true self that they desire to be, whether they consciously know it or not. And so let's take some deep breaths and think about our relationship with no. Thank you, Miss Erica. And we wish you well. I'm not saying it's easy. As we are having these human interactions with our family, our friends, and even ourselves, it's not always easy to stand on your no, particularly when the guilt trips come, when people start to bring out receipts. Well, remember, I did this, that. Listen, people who love you will not pull receipts out to remind you of all of the things that they have done for you. It is not a healthy practice for anyone to engage in. And if I feel like You are keeping receipts, then I don't want to be in an interaction with you. If you can't do it out of the kindness of your heart and because that's just what you want to do, then I prefer you not to do it. Or if it's a business arrangement, then say that. So we can, do it that way so that we can feel about it that way and see it that way. So be mindful of the guilt trip. That's why last week we talked about shame. We had to talk about shame first so that we could talk about no, because some people will shame you for saying no. Some people will shame you for doing what's best for you. You can't do that to yourself. You cannot betray yourself. You know what that feels like. So why do it? Why engage in it? It takes time to balance those energies out because we're talking about a lifetime of either people pleasing or isolating or, all of these other things that we did in survival mode, the false sense. So unraveling and unlearning these behaviors, it's going to take some time. But stay the course, just like a toddler. They don't care how many times they got to tell you no. You have to be the same way. But first, let's take a deep breath and be very, very honest and clear about our relationship with the word, with the energy of no. And so, as we come into this right now moment, resting our mind, resting our body, resting our spirit, and aligning those three to understand ourselves in a deeper way, to really get to the root of our relationship with the word no. When we hear it, when we say it, when we feel as though it is part of a human interaction, do we take it personally? Do we internalize that as a rejection of who we are as a being? No is part of the human experience. There are boundaries all around us, some that keep us safe, some that keep us sane, and some that we are not even aware that keep us on a higher path. When the desires of our heart are so strong and there are things that we need and want, sometimes we get that tunnel vision and that's all we can see. And then when we receive what we decide is a rejection, we can internalize that as somewhere in my being, I am wrong, or I'm not enough, or I was wrong about ever dreaming, hoping, or desiring that thing to begin with. And so, as we are taking deep breaths and cleansing and aligning our energies to our relationship with the word no and telling ourselves the truth that just because I hear a no does not mean that I am wrong. That just because I feel no in my spirit doesn't mean that I have to deny it. That whatever my relationship with no might be, I can clean it, I can cleanse it, I can heal it so that I am being my true self, my authentic self at all times. I don't need any validation for my feelings because my feelings are true. And I am reconnecting myself to how I truly feel. And if I have to take my time by taking some deep breaths to get very, very clear, then I have the right to do so. Just as I did when I was a child. Although I was the responsibility of many, my parents, other adults, my caregivers, the world, I didn't know that my no then was valid, but I can tell myself now the parts of me who may have felt unseen, unheard, neglected, or abandoned. I can tell myself right now, none of those things were true. That what I felt then was appropriate and what I feel now is valid. And no matter what energies may come into my experience, may it be guilt, regret, shame, that try to tear apart my relationship with no. I have to stand firm on how I feel. And so, if there is a younger version of me who never felt accepted, who never felt heard, who never felt recognized, I can do that for me now by forgiving myself for ever believing that I was wrong. I am deserving of having feelings that are validated, and that must begin with me by asserting myself, by accepting myself, and by living my life in such a way that I am aligning with the truth of who I am. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be recognized. I deserve to be affirmed. And that begins with me. In this right now moment, that begins with me. I am affirming my no's. I'm affirming my yeses. And I am clear about them both. I am done with the people pleasing. And I am done with the isolation. I am going to create a healthy balance of the two, where I am kind, where I can be at all times, and I am certain of protecting myself and keeping myself safe when it is necessary. Hmm. I am sure of how I feel, and I can express it freely. Because I am a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, I allow my spiritual self to take over in those moments when my humanness feels uncertain. Because in my spiritual nature, I am very clear. In my spiritual nature, I have full authority over my thoughts, my feelings, and my behavior. I do not have to let the ego take control and hold a tantrum or deny myself my feelings, my thoughts, and my behaviors. I am clear as a spiritual being on what I mean and what I say. My no is a no, my yes is a yes, and I am clear about those two because I have a healthy balance of both of those energies. I recognize both of those energies as healthy for me. I don't have to say yes to everything. I don't have to say no to everything. I have enough discernment and intuition in my spiritual nature to know when it's appropriate to use both of those energies. And I always have the right to change my mind. I like that part. I always have the right to change my mind. If I said yes today, I can say no tomorrow. If I say no today, I can say yes tomorrow because I am in full control of my thoughts, my feelings, and my behavior. I have to know that. I have to affirm that. I have to reconnect to that. That responses are not personal commentary on who I am or on who other people are. So if I tell someone no, doesn't mean I don't love you. It means I love us both. So I'm going to tell you the truth about how I feel. And I give you the same grace that if you have to tell me no, I don't hear that you don't love me. I understand that you have full autonomy to your feelings just as I do. And so that is how I cleanse my relationship with hearing and saying no, by balance. I'm not always going to hear yes, and that's okay with me. I'm not always going to hear no, and that's okay with me. As long as I am true to myself and clear about my intentions and feelings, that is how I remain in control. I feel so assured. I feel so sure about myself right now, knowing that in this week, every single one of us are going to be faced with choices where we will have to be clear about our yes and our no. Let us call upon all of those in the spiritual realm to support us when those choices have to be made so that we are clear that our responses come from a place of power and not a place of pain or fear from our past. You can't guilt me into saying yes, and you can't make me feel bad for saying no. I choose how I hold that energy, just as you choose how you respond. And so we call upon all of the energy that is within us and surrounding us that is for our highest good to support us this week. Because I know we're going to have some choices where we're going to have to tell the truth and say no. And we got to stand firm on it. We got to believe it ourselves and have faith in ourselves that we are spiritually connected enough to deal with whatever comes from that choice. That is a huge, huge, huge awareness about the way that you respond to no. That no matter what the response is, if someone says no to you or you have to say no to someone else, that you have within you the ability to handle whatever energy comes your way. Because for many of us, the reason we don't say no is because we don't want to hear people's mouths. We don't want to hear the blowback. We don't want to hear the rah, 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 what I did for you. And oh my God, I don't. We don't want to hear it. Erica said, yeah, I don't know your family, but I know one thing. People are going to be people. And people are the same all around the world. People will make you feel bad for the choices that you have to make for yourself. I am always amused when I'm, scrolling through social media, how people love to tell other people how to spend their money. I don't know what she bought that for. You could have. That's not your money. But your family will do that. Your friends will do that. You out here living your life, minding your business, and here's all this commentary about how you're living your life and what you should be doing. And you could have gave me that money, and you could have. My no means no. I was clear when I created it in my mind. I was clear when it came out of my mouth. Now, once it went to your ears, I don't know what happened. I can't do anything about that. I was clear when it was created here, when it was created here, and when it flew out of my mouth. Now, you heard it as a personal rejection. I don't love you. I'm a horrible person. That's not what I said. If you heard it that way, I don't know what to do for you. But you have to be clear that when you are sending that energy to someone, that is not your intention. Because sometimes we do say no to hurt people. Sometimes we take enjoyment in saying no. It's like, I can't wait to tell this person no. Now, if that's the energy that you are utilizing, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. And everything in spiritual law is about cause and effect. So if your intention for saying no is to hurt or to harm other people, I can't tell you that that's not going to come back. Be clear about why you're saying what you're saying. And if you need a moment, then tell people, I'm not ready to respond just yet. Let me think about it. But as they say, think long, think wrong. If in your spirit you know it's a no, please don't waste your time trying to come up with justifications as to why it's no. Just say no. And if they say why, because no. Because I said no. Now, if it's someone that you have a deep relationship with, you might be able to have a conversation with them. I'm not saying to just deny people the communication. I am saying that if you feel like you have to justify it, then you have to deal with your relationship with the word no. Because why are you justifying your feelings? I know it's because of the blowback. We don't want, no one wants to deal with that. No one wants to deal with someone feeling as though they've been hurt by your no. It's uncomfortable. But sometimes in relationships, we have to have those. I don't like to call them uncomfortable. I like to call them clarifying. We have to have those clarifying conversations so that you're clear and that I'm clear. I can't make it clear for you. That's something you will have to do, but I can do my best to give you the information that might make it easier for you to understand what it is I'm saying and why I'm saying no. So Giselle is saying, ooh, that's right. Listen, how often do we pour our heart out to people and we don't receive the feedback that we would like? You have to understand it's not a personal thing. It's not. We don't know why people say no. Sometimes it's their fear, sometimes it's their perception, their judgment that has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you. And sometimes I feel like if I pour my heart out to people and they don't respond in the same way, they've done me a favor. This is not where my energy needs to go. If I pour my heart out to you, and as you say, you have a heart project, if I bring a project to someone and I see it as it's going to be good for the community, it's going to be good for us, it's going to be good for humanity. And other people are like, yeah, nah, it's a pass for us. They've done you a favor. Because let's say they said yes, but they didn't really feel strongly about it. They could dismantle all of your work. You don't need people in your heart-centered work who are not there with their hearts. So sometimes when people say no to you, they're doing you a favor. It's like if you wanted to cook an amazing stew and you wanted some amazing cooks to come in the room with you. Let's say you asked somebody who was like, I don't even want to do this. And they throw in salt and all kind of stuff that because their heart is not in it. Now they've ruined the thing that you wanted to create it. They would have done you a favor by saying no. So remember I said no can be healthy, no can be stabilizing. Sometimes when you pour your heart out to people and you might hear rejection, it's not rejection, it's protection because we don't want everybody in our stuff, particularly when our heart is in it. And so I'm grateful if I say, hey, I got this great idea. And people are like, oh, nah, I don't want to do it. Okay, well, then you're not the person that's going to enjoy it. That's valid. That's fine. Thank you. I can either ask someone else or do it by myself, or I can align with people that I know using my discernment that might enjoy this thing as much as, or, even more than I will enjoy it. So sometimes, and as you are ready to pitch, whatever it is that you are pitching, if it's rejected, doesn't mean it's not a good idea, doesn't mean that you should second guess yourself. Don't get into that trap of, oh gosh, this was horrible and I should have never even considered it. You might not be in the place where that is going to flourish. Your yes is out there somewhere. Like attracts like. So you have to keep in your mind that no is not a personal rejection. It is a decline. It is a decline. And you don't know why people decline. Last week, whew, I had to ask for help, which I've already told y'all is not easy for me to do. I had to ask for a lot of help. I didn't always get help in the places that I needed or expected it to. Here's the thing. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful that I asked, and I'm thankful that people felt comfortable and safe enough with me to say no. And they knew that their no didn't mean that I don't love them or that we can't still love one another. They have their reason for saying no. I don't have to fight them. I don't have to convince them that they should say yes. If someone tells me no, I don't take it personally. I say thank you. for letting me know that this is not where my energy and focus needs to go right now. I can put my attention elsewhere. I am so grateful that I have gotten to a point in my life that if I'm doing something and it's not working, I back off. I was trying to do something at work the other day, trying to, link my computer with the printer and it wasn't working. I was like, you know what? Just leave it alone. We don't always have to fight, 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 fight. Sometimes the best thing that we can do is say, oh, I've been denied. Okay, time to put my energy and focus somewhere else. And maybe I revisit it at another time. I don't take it personal. Boy, I used to. When things didn't work out for me, I would have a whole meltdown crying fit. Like if I was trying to fix something and it just wasn't fixing, oh my God, I wish somebody was here to do this for me. Why? Not anymore. Okay, it's not working. Doesn't mean that I'm a horrible person. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong. Doesn't mean that I'm not smart. Doesn't mean that I can't figure it out later. Maybe it's a great opportunity for me to ask for help or have someone else do it because maybe that was the plan all along. I don't know. We can't always take things personally, even if we're personally invested. You have to know the way that you feel is valid. And so, Giselle, I pray that your heart project gets off in the way that you decide that it needs to get off. You may be presenting it to people who may not hear the vision, who may not hear the goal, who may not understand. Doesn't mean that it's not a good plan, doesn't mean it's not a good project, doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. It might mean other ears need to hear it, other places need to hear it. And so I'm grateful that I no longer hear no as rejection, I hear it as protection. Okay, this is not where we're supposed to be. Children absorb everything. We are now adults who no longer have to internalize everything that we hear as a personal indictment on who we are. As we continue to have human interactions, if you want to keep on being a human, then you're going to have to learn to validate yourself. You're going to have to learn to recognize when a no is necessary. And you're going to have faith that you can balance those things. So, Erica, again, my sister, I'm not saying it's easy, particularly when you have a history with someone. One of the things that I had to learn as an adult that was one of the hardest things for me to do was to tell my parents no. I'm telling you, I got myself into so many financial binds by saying yes to my parents' foolishness. My mother loved to shop. She had so many credit cards and she didn't need a lot of that stuff. But every time she wanted, I said yes. I said yes. I said yes. And it wound up putting me in a financial pinch. And I got to the point where I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't deny myself and my children because you have a want, a need, and desire that you can't fulfill. I can't do it. I love you, but I can't do it. And it was hard because, of course, it was, I've taken care of you all your life and you're telling me no. And I had to remind her, yeah, because that's the woman you raised me to be. So as you go through this week, with these choices that you have to make, remember and remind yourself of your true self and who you are becoming and who you desire to be. And leave that false self that felt like it had to do what was necessary to survive, because that's what kids do. Kids learn how to survive by being good, by being compliant, by listening to what adults say, even if it goes against what they feel in their spirit. We don't have to do that anymore. And we can tell our inner children, you don't have to hold that energy anymore. I'm here to clean it up for you. We can tell our inner children, I am so here for you. You can't even believe how much healing you are about to receive. You can't even imagine how I'm about to assert you, us in such a way that whatever pain or hurt or harm you may have felt when you were younger, I'm going to heal that thing up for you. You don't have to feel neglected again. You don't have to feel abandoned. You don't have to feel disappointed or rejected ever Again, because I'm here for you. And I'm going to make sure that when we say no, that you recognize it is valid and it is for the right reasons and it is the healthiest thing for you to do. And if we hear no, it doesn't have anything to do with who we are as a being, as a person, as a temporary human. And we will tap into that spiritual part of us that already knows that. We are going to reconnect those two, the humanness that guides us and the spiritual part of us that saves us. And so, as always, if there are particular things that you want to discuss, that you want to talk about, that are going on in your life in such a way that some of this work sounds like a great thing in theory, but when it comes to the practice of it, you might want to go deeper. Give me a call. Go to my website, it's right there. Schedule some office hours with me, and we'll talk about it. We will talk about it. If you really, really, really want to go deeper, the Evolve community right now is also focused on inner child healing. And there are additional things that come in being in the Evolve community. It's a subscription plan. We do a healing session. I'm going to increase it to twice a month. And there are other activities that we do to heal our inner children. You can also find that information at my website. I'm so grateful that we get to come together every Sunday. Next week, it's all about freedom. 3-year olds are so free, sometimes too free, but we want to support that. And so, wherever you are in your life, this week we're going to be talking about our nose. Next week, we're going to talk about where are we the most free. I love to talk about freedom because many of us are living in these little boxes and we got to free ourselves. And so, if you have been following along, we talked about shame. We said we're not doing that no more. Now we have our no. We have our no. So now we have to use our no in such a way that it frees us. And so, Erica, I am already thinking about your freedom. You are so welcome. Yes, we need people to pour into us because I know every single one of y'all are pouring into people, pouring into people. So if we can carve out a little bit of time once a week to pour into ourselves, then let's do that. So, Erica, I am with you, sis. I know that you are going to do whatever is necessary for your healing. Give yourself grace in the time that it will take to do it. Giselle, I know that your heart centered project is going to fall on the ears that have been waiting to hear it, to support you. And if we can support you, Giselle, let us know. Call me up, email me. If there's something that we can do collectively for you, Giselle, for you, Erica, or anyone else on this platform, let us know. We won't know how to help if we don't know where the help is needed. And so it would serve us no purpose to keep coming together every Sunday if we can't support each other in other ways. So if we can support your heart project, please let us know. Erica, if we can support you through prayer, through meditation, or just some venting, let us know. I'm here for y'all because y'all have been here for me, and I'm so greatly appreciative. I love y'all. Have an amazing rest of your Sunday. I love you. Bye.